Hello, everyone, and welcome to a segment that we like to call Over Under. This is the Maple Leafs edition. Chris Johnston, as I mentioned, it is Over Under. It is a self-explanatory setup. We are going to give you a question, a player, a number, and you are going to predict if that person will hit that number over or under. So I hope you're not confused. I don't imagine you are, so we'll get right into things.
I've been to a casino. I know how this works.
Oh, we've been to a few too many, huh?
No comment.
Matthews goals. Shortened season. We're going to hypothetically say that it is going to be a 56-game season. 38 goals, over or under. Go.
Well, you'd lose tons of money in the casino betting the under on Auston Matthews over the first 4 years of his career. But that's not stopping me here. I'm going to take under 38 goals. Certainly not projecting a poor season for Auston Matthews, but I think that that's a pretty lofty standard. In fact, you're basically giving the goals per game average he had last season, which was his best year in the league. 0.7 goals per game is going to be awfully tough with a compact schedule, tons of back-to-backs, just this strange year without fans. He could score 35 goals and lead the league and still hit my under, so I'm taking under.
I'm going to have to disagree with you there. As you mentioned, you lose a lot of money betting against Auston Matthews goal totals in the past. I think it is a significant number. I think the pace he's on last year was impressive. I think he can do it again. This is a guy that every single offseason adds something new to his repertoire. He's building. He always scores goals at a ridiculous pace. So I'm going to have to disagree with you and say that he is going to go with the over. Moving on. Frederik Andersen, always a hot topic. How many games will he play? We've set the number at 39. I'm going to start with my opinion first, and I'm going to say that he is going to go with the over. It's a condensed season. There's going to be a lot of games very close together. Yes, they do have another backup, but I know Frederik Andersen in the past, he's made it clear how often he likes to play, how much of a groove he likes to get into. So I'm going to pick the over, which I think might be a bit of a risk, but I think he's the type of guy that will ask Sheldon Keefe to play a lot of games, and maybe Sheldon Keefe will let him. Chris?
Well, I'm taking the under here. I mean, Frederik Andersen hasn't entered a season in Toronto with less of a grip on the net. And, I think that Jack Campbell gives the Leafs a little bit more confidence in the backup position than they've had the last number of seasons. This is the last year of Frederik Andersen's contract. And so, I think that they're very much going to be making decisions for what is good at the moment. They're not worried about ego or anything like that. And, as I mentioned in the previous answer, I do think that, just playing so many back-to-backs, you're going to want to split those up. And I think if Andersen doesn't perform, in fact, I could see Campbell almost low-key taking the number one job. So I think it's going to be a real battle and a real split of starts in that Leafs crease.
Okay, once again, we disagree. We're on a good pace here. Next up, a guy that is so fun to watch, and we know that game in, game out, he's a lethal threat, and he gets points. So we're going to look at Mitch Marner point totals. In the past, he's always gone well over a point per game. I think that's something that you assume that he's going to get. So in a 56-game season, we have chosen the number at 70 points, which is right around his average of where he's been the last couple seasons. Not an insignificant number, but Chris Johnston, will Mitch Marner get over or under 70 points in this shortened season?
Well, that's a high bar, but I'm still saying over for Mitch Marner, and here's why. Look, last year was deemed to be a bad year for Mitch, a tough year, one where he struggled more than maybe he had in his previous campaigns, and he was still on pace for 90 points when the season was paused for coronavirus. I think you're going to see, after a prolonged offseason, him come back in a better frame of mind, in more of a position to even up his previous totals. And I do think he can clear that 70-point bar, although, in saying that, if he does, I mean, he might be in the conversation for the Art Ross Trophy and having the most points in the entire league.
I'm going to have to agree with you for once so far, believe it or not. I think this is a guy that is prolific. I think he gets points. He's the type of guy that could be absent the whole game and not do a single thing. You don't notice him, and then you look at the score sheet and he's had 3 assists, and he assisted on some ridiculous goal that set up Auston Matthews for the winner. I also think if I'm going to take the over on Auston Matthews goals, some of those will be set up by Mitch Marner. They go hand in hand at times, so I think I'm going to have to take the over there. It only makes sense. So last topic, we'll see if we can agree on this one or not. Joe Thornton, the newcomer. This is a wild card, I think. It's maybe the biggest question heading in is, will we get a very productive Joe Thornton? Will it be a limited role Joe Thornton? Just how does he fit into this Maple Leafs team? So we kind of crunched the numbers. We looked at his average last season and just how many points per game he was at. And the number that we decided to choose was 25. So Chris, will Joe Thornton have over or under 25 points?
Man, I want so badly to believe in this story. Joe Thornton's one of the only players in the league still older than I am. I'm certainly, hoping that he has some success, but I'm still going to take the under here. And, I think that we should be realistic at 41, where Joe's output can be. I think the Leafs will at times maybe ease him in and out of their lineup. And perhaps we might see a little bit of the Kawhi Leonard treatment from back in Toronto in the day and giving him some off nights, especially with the series of back-to-backs. I know he's going to play in the power play. I know he might get some shifts with the big guns on the Leafs, but they didn't bring him here to score. They brought him here for what he does behind the scenes, and I think he'll be a little bit under the 25-point mark.
Now, it pains my heart, but once again, we agree. We're on the same page here for what it's worth. I just think this is a guy that, yes, is nearing the end of his career, and I think in San Jose in the past few years, he was relied upon. He played a big role, and I think he gets into a Maple Leafs team where I think the Leafs know it, and maybe he knows that role won't be quite as big. And like you mentioned, maybe in and out of the lineup. I really, really hope, though, for our sake and the media's sake and the fans' sake, that he lights it up, because who doesn't want to talk to Joe Thornton after every game? Who doesn't want to hear interviews with him? Who doesn't want to see this guy succeed? So I am going to take the under, but there's that bit of me deep down that hopes it's going to be well over, so we get a lot of Joe Thornton action. So that is the Maple Leafs edition of Over Under. Chris Johnston, we agreed on some, we didn't. If you're watching this, we'd like to know what you think. Give us your Over Under, give us some hypotheticals, what you think of some numbers that we've chosen, or maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. Chris Johnston, there are no wrong answers, but there is a lot of social media hate, so bring it, everyone.
And the internet always remembers, Shawn.
Always.